In this video, I will show you how to easily build a custom Shopify store using Nuxt 4 with Storefront GraphQL API integration. You don't need deep knowledge of GraphQL or Shopify because I'll simplify each step for you. With just basic understanding of Nuxt.js, you will be able to get your custom store up and running, fully deployed on Netlify. Our UI is customly built, so we can easily fetch live data from Shopify. So those are the areas we are going to. So by the end of this video, we are expected to be able to get how, the easy steps on how you can easily integrate Shopify. So let's get right into the video. If this sounds good, stick around. Don't forget to subscribe for more contents like this. We will start by creating a Shopify store. So simply log into your Shopify account or create a new one if you don't have one yet. Then create a store, which would automatically generate a domain for you for your store, right? You can also edit your domain or add a new one, a custom one if you want. So that domain is what we'll be needing, and then a storefront token. Now to get a storefront token, we'll need to create a custom app for our store. And the custom app is what we'll now be using as for our development, our local development in our through our environment variables, right? So go ahead to click on settings, click on apps and sales channel, click on develop apps, then allow legacy custom app development, which will now give us access to developing our app, right? Allow custom app development, then create a legacy custom app. You just enter the name of the app that you want to create. For instance, I call my new store. I call my new store, right? We can now configure a storefront API. Shopify has a admin API and storefront API. The admin API has more access scope, right? Scopes that you can perform with your account. Admin level access, right? While the storefront is just going to allow us to be able to fetch products, be able to check out or authenticate, read contents like articles, blogs, and then also read product variants and collections, right? After saving the configuration, we'll now install the app itself, right? Now that's a storefront API access token. That's what we are going to use together with the domain of our app. We are going to use it in our environment variables. Copy the storefront access token, then you copy the domain of your app. Next, we are going to scaffold the Nuxt 4 project. Go ahead and run pm create Nuxt at latest, which will install the latest version of Nuxt, which is Nuxt 4. If you have your project already well set up already, that's great. One of the new features that the Nuxt 4 bring out of the box, right, is the app folder structure, where you can now have your assets, your components, your composables, and the rest of them. Create a .mv file. This is where we are going to paste our Shopify domain and then the storefront token. Install this GraphQL helper extensions. If this was Nuxt 3, we'll have used a Nuxt GraphQL client without any issues. But currently, it only supports Nuxt 3 and not a good support for Nuxt 4, which is why the approach I'm going to use now is going to be very much better and easy to use, right? So we are going to install GraphQL request. That's the package we'll be using. And you can see the GraphQL request is type safe. It runs everywhere. It's also very minimal. So go ahead and install GraphQL request. GraphQL request is kind of very great. It is constantly being maintained. And the way we are going to set it up is going to still leverage the server-side rendering of Nuxt.js, right? Very similar to what Nuxt GraphQL client module is doing. In your nuxt.config.ts, as you can see in my code base, in the runtime config, create a public object where we'll have a GraphQL client in it. In the GraphQL client, we are going to create clients, right? The default, we will have the host. The host is going to be https/ the Shopify store domain /API/2025-07/GraphQL. We are going to be using the latest, storefront API. Then we'll add the token. The value now is going to be the Shopify storefront token that we created earlier, and that's the configuration we need. Next, we're going to create composables, right? Create a use Shopify client in your composables. With this use Shopify client composable, we now have a single source of truth where we'll now be, we don't need to start repeating the configuration each time. In the use Shopify client, we are grabbing the endpoint, which is the host, and then we are grabbing the token name, which is the Shopify storefront token, right? That we named. And then we're also grabbing the token itself, right? So with this particular token now, we are able to now set up our our GraphQL client. We're using GraphQL client from GraphQL request, right? That's the package we installed earlier. So for instance, we are going to create a use Shopify shop. In this use Shopify shop now, you can see that we simply called, instead of trying to do the configuration again, all over again, we simply call the use Shopify client. Now we can start fetching products now from our Shopify store using composables. Create a use Shopify product to fetch the products of your Shopify, the products in your store, in the Shopify store. Now the first that you are seeing there is like a param that we are passing through. You see why I said this particular configuration is kind of like giving us a type safe configuration, right? Because you can see that as I wrote the first, I also like specify the type for it. So if you try to pass a string to it now, TypeScript will not allow us, right? That's because this particular composable now is type safe, right? One thing about GraphQL is the ability to actually like next be specific with your fetching, right? Inside product, the edge, the node, with this particular configuration now, I am able to like specifically get the correct data that I want. Now you may be wondering how I got all this particular naming. Shopify also has a dev documentation that you can actually go ahead to check out and read. So we're getting the first one product by default. So, but you can actually like add like the first 10 depending on the number of products you want to show in a single page, right? Now let's run the local server. From my fetch, I am still leveraging the server-side rendering of Nuxt.js because I was actually like I did my configuration. Remember, we did the configuration in the Nuxt.config file, and in the Nuxt.config file, I set SSR to true. Nuxt.config runs on the server. It's going to actually call that particular endpoint on the server. So it's going to actually return everything that is going to come happen there from the server, which actually makes the fetch very fast, right? And the speed is actually very good, making the application a very high performance application, right? The TypeScript now is now helping me now. I have a type called products that I named here that has product ID, product name, the description. This particular type now helps me to narrow my fetch. So I don't have to like send every data returned from the endpoint to my UI. I kind of like filtered it with this particular type because the only thing I needed was the ID, the name, the description, the price, the image, and then the image URL, and then the variants, right? So those are the things I was returning from the being able to like map it to my TypeScript and all that. You can see from my console that it's actually like rendering from the server. So that's like that for the product, and you can see that the product is actually like being fetched, and it's also like dynamic, right? For our checkout, my logic for the checkout is that just the same way we have the use Shopify products, we are going to create a use Shopify checkout, which is going to leverage the reusable use Shopify clients that has our configuration. So my logic for the checkout process is if a user is not logged in, go ahead to check out that user. We'll just redirect to Shopify checkout page, but the user is now going to is now going to enter their email to actually check out. If a user is authenticated, we can use the access token or the email to associate that particular cart to that particular user, which automatically populates the user's email in their checkout. If they wish to change the email, that's fine. You can use Pinia Store for state management, or however the checkout is being handled, it's all on Shopify. In my use Shopify account, we can now create users, right? We can register a user, we can authenticate a user, like log in a user. We can also and when you log in a user, you are simply creating a customer access token. We can actually like simply redirect the user to our Shopify store, just the same way I'm redirecting for checkout. Can still for the account creation or account login and all that. I can just redirect to Shopify and let Shopify handle everything. That still works fine, right? The deployment, my deployment setup is just very easy, right? Since I'm kind of like fetching data from Shopify, and I want to also like I don't want to hard code anything. For instance, you can see that in my demo, I'm actually like able to like change the image, that's the product image, directly from Shopify, and it will reflect on my application, right? So instead of running pm generate a static site, I am running pm build to actually build a server side rendered application, right? That's SSR. Building a custom Shopify store gives you the ability to take full control of the the performance of the application, the layouts, how you want it to look, responsiveness, and the checkout, whatever, however process that you want to like do it right. So far in this video, we were able to set up a Shopify store and integrate it with our custom front end. We use SSR so that the app stays dynamic and reflects live Shopify updates. If this was helpful, drop a like and comment the features you'd like to see next. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.